collective circuitry. We're going to be deep diving into that. So we're going to be going up the splenic side to start. So any intro thoughts for us, Danny?
I just want to clue everyone in that these roads are going to lead into this throat center for manifestation, and what particular taste and what particular does the being have to like in order to be there. It's about what they like. It's everything to taste is the thing. Yep.
That's exciting. Cool. So before we deep dive, thank you for everyone who is watching, both live and on the replay. Thank you for liking and subscribing. It does really, really help us develop and helps us with the algorithm and everything. So thank you for doing that. And let's get into collective understanding circuitry. So understanding circuitry within the collective circuitry, it's about sharing, right? All of collective circuitry is about sharing. That's the keynote that you can keep kind of just putting into your head. And then today we're going to be going up the splenic side, this logical side. And so understanding circuitry, it's about cool-headed, seductive intelligence. And it's about recognition of patterns, concentration, and details. And it's about how logic allows for prediction of the future of expected outcomes. And understanding circuitry, the splenic circuitry, it requires financial support, disciplined repetition for the development of techniques and skills to refine and concretize a pattern and master or perfect aptitude, a plan or a formula, and it requires practice to reach its full potential. And this circuitry formalizes a hypothesis based on perspectives and projected doubts, and it's highly influential and satisfactory.
It's never stopped doubting. And the thing is, the two pressures that make this whole thing happen, a couple things about the circuitry in whole. One is the two pressures that make it all happen. They, much like a generator, these pressures are always now or not, right? They're that or now or not. And since doubt is something that happens and then settles down, and unlike the confusion happens and stays, the doubt ebbs and flows, and the doubt nitpicks and the confusion obsesses. So both of them are quite potent, because the nitpicking doesn't slow down. It just goes, it ebbs and flows in a flow, and up and down, so to speak, just like the emotions in a way. And the thing is, that pressure right now it's always right now, and people are dealing with the things and still carrying it with them afterwards. And so the pressure right now to doubt is intense, and the pressure for the joy of life is intense. And these two things end up having to agree. Second thing about the collective circuitry is that, oh my God, this is the language we have in common. Ra would say it is the most important circuitry we have. And as a we, because no single channel of the collective is inherently social. Like all the other circuitries have a social channel. This circuitry, every channel is social by definition, because of the keynote of sharing, and just because we already know it is. All collective definition, Moni, I know, we see it. It says stuff.
Interesting. And just to provide a little bit of context, earlier you said the two pressures, and my first thought is, so was that the head and the root were you speaking?
Yes.
Cool. Like
I'm couching the whole thing. Thank you,
cool.
Moni.
Yeah, I just like to provide context sometimes. So that first, where one of the pressures you spoke about was the head pressure of the 63, which is that doubt. And then the other pressure, you're referring to the root center, you're referring to both the 58 and the 52, or?
Well, no, because in this both of them, absolutely. But the one that we share the most, the inner stuff, shows up in the penta, it becomes our rhythm. It is how we lead, and it is how we uniquely focus in a generative capacity. The rest of it is straight up sharing. You know what I mean? Verbal sharing, just because it's all dying to get to the throat. Verbal sharing. It's in that stream. It's in the stream that's got a keynote of taste.
Yeah, so the keynote, the stream of awareness, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Then that's that 5818, and then up that 48 and the 16. Yep. And then separately, you're saying the ones that go up that center column, it's a little bit more personal because it's like more of a group dynamic, but all of it is sharing ultimately.
It's how do I fit into the penta? What is my rhythm? Because it's all generated. This other stuff on the outside is not generated stuff.
Oh, cool.
The stuff on the inside is.
All right.
It's so two totally different things. And so because of that, it's the thing we have in common. That's what we have. It's for we, and the logic becomes the common language. We can all then create the patterns that we feel like getting excited about. So this stuff, because it's ours, it's we. And we get to explain where the details come in that we know the other can then understand. Language is a very logical process, no matter how emotional it gets, right? Mathematics is a very logical process, I guess, no matter how emotional it gets. All the other things, this thing works out, it's logical, and all of its time is spent being expressed in the form of trying to get the other to see the picture. Seeing, it's all seeing.
Mhm.
This whole stream is totally tied into, this doesn't matter to people yet if they don't know, but that third tone that makes us be outer vision, standing up, the end of our seven-centered process. This is sort of advanced knowledge, but it's that we share it in common. That's what I'm really getting at. And then we go ahead and express that to the other, and it's dying to manifest, but not one of its, the third thing I would say is it's dying to manifest, but not one of its channels, not one of its throat gates has a natural link to a motor. It's the only circuitry besides the, well, it's the only main circuitry that doesn't.
All right,
Ego,
cool.
ego goes to the motor, everything else goes to the motor, but not this. Yeah.
All right, here we have the 52-9, and this is the channel of concentration and the design of determination. And so gate 52 is keeping still, or the gate of stillness, and it is a root center gate, and the root is that brown square all the way at the bottom. And then gate 9 is the taming power of the small, or the gate of focus, and it is part of the sacral center, and that's the red square just above the brown square. And so gate 9 is about determination, and it's a focus on details and facts. And the 52 provides passive fuel powering focus. And it's about keeping still and being withdrawn from distraction. And so the 52-9 creates potential fulfilled through focused attention when it's still enough to assess all pertinent aspects.
Yeah, and being free from distraction is like, that's when it does its best, and it does so by literally it can block everything out in a way. The sitting still part is such an energized state. Look at it like the sci-fi movie where the thing is just pulsing with electricity, awaiting launch. This thing. It's like, oh my God, it's about to take off. And then 9 is very similar, but it is taking off because it's doing the focusing and it's generating a wave of incredible focus. And the distraction comes, unfortunately, from the rest of the circuitry that's constantly trying to share and itself. As soon as it's there, it wants to influence the other. All of the circuitry is deeply aligned to the fourth line, and wanting to influence, the other. So this is a incredible format. By the way, if you have this channel in your body graph, it formats the other channels. It influences every other one. It creates a hue that is guaranteed to be across every other channel and in the room, that you're in.
That's interesting. It's like it lays the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
The best way I heard it described is the 52 is you have like an eagle like soaring over like a big lake, and it just like soaring and gliding and checking stuff out and just kind of vibing and watching. And then the 9 is like the focus, and like when it dips down to like catch the fish.
Literally, and it's focused and obsessing over in what way will it catch the fish? What are all the details? What's it going to do with the fish? Who's going to share in the fish? I can't wait to get back and share these fish. I hope these fish don't suck. Blah, 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 blah. All of it. I want to stay excited. I'm going to throw my pole in one more, my line in again, all of it.
So focus and details in response.
Yep.
Here we have the 5-15, and this is the channel of rhythm and the design of being in the flow. So gate 5 is waiting, or the gate of fixed patterns, and it is a sacral gate, which the sacral is that red square. And then gate 15 is modesty, or the gate of extremes, and it's part of the identity center, which is the yellow diamond right in the center of the body graph. And so gate 5 holds fixed habits and rituals. It's all about patterns and doing the same thing and that consistency. And then gate 15 is the love of humanity's extremes. And it levels the playing field by incorporating society's diversity into the flow. So it's like pattern and pattern break, pattern and pattern break. And so gate 15 is about finding the rhythm of life, deeply magical and universal, binding all life forms together from the single cell to complex human beings.
Yeah, and that pattern, and then pattern disruption, pattern start over again. That little break in between is where things are so extreme. So 15 is entirely stupidly extreme sometimes, and wonderfully extreme and accepting of extremes. And fit 5 says, whatever you are, you won't last if I don't pull you into a pattern. You will disorganize and make a mess of things. So 5 is, and this becomes a channel of rhythm that finds all these rituals and does all these little rhythmic things. And most importantly, it does a bunch of things it doesn't know, because it brings everything around it into a type of a rhythm. You can't be around these people and not sort of fall into either what their rhythm is, or successfully sidestep that rhythm, and become and be okay that way too. Um, it organizes life on the planet in a way that is not necessarily about survival, but it is about uniquely being able to be human, in its organization. And in the penta, this is inside the home. This is all about inside the home. The rhythm inside the home. If one of your children has this channel, or if you make up this channel, then it doesn't matter how messy things are or whatever. The rhythm makes a pattern and it carries on. This is the great channel of carrying on. Oh well, oh well, carry on. Oh well, and it might not be oh well. It might be like what I did when I was like, God, not da da da, or quiet, I'm not, like not so, but it's still
Yeah, it could
oh
be
well.
extreme.
Yep, but it notice it bounces back to oh okay, okay, because the 5 is just a single cell. It's like, yeah, I'm the petri dish. I get it. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, right. It's
And then
just
the
like, yeah,
15 is just doing some extreme stuff, and it's like that's
yeah,
life. It's kind of chill and boring for a bit, and then some crazy stuff happens, and then it's like
right.
chill, and it's just the same stuff: chop wood, carry water. Something crazy happened, have a party, whatever.
Yeah, right,
And then you go
right,
back to
right. Have
chopping
a
wood and
party.
carrying water, and then
Right.
like do the
Yes.
laundry, and then you get another like night out.
Bam, I'm doing something. Blah, blah. Right,
Yeah.
right. It wants to build. It's a big fat builder. It wants to build something, and it's all about civilization. It's in that quarter. Um,
Let us continue on our journey with the 731, which is the channel of the alpha, and it's a design of leadership for good or for bad. And so, gate 7 is the army, and it's or the gate of the role of the self in interaction, and it's an identity center gate, which is the yellow diamond in the center. And then gate 31 is influence, or the gate of leading, and it is a throat center gate, which is the brown square where you would imagine a throat would be. And it's this the 731 is the design of the logical collective leadership that's looking toward the future. And it's logical leadership based on tested and established patterns that can be followed with certainty. And so gate 31 is the collective leader, it's the voice carrying the influence. And gate 7 provides the logical role needed to lead and guide society, described as the power behind the throne.
yeah, there's power behind the throne and the throne itself. These two things are sort of interchangeable in a way, but 31's distinct voice of I lead or not is a very touchy thing, because everything else before this can be fully self-absorbed, but by the time it gets to this, I lead or not is now fully integrative with a bunch of other people. So this is where the rubber meets the road, as in, are you going to be too shy? Are you going to be a chameleon? Are you going to bump into it and just do it? What's it going to be? Are you going to stand there like a fixed pod and make sure something happens? Are you going to be aloof or mysterious? What's it going to be? And I just rattled through basically all the 6 lines as I was saying all those words. And so it's unsettling when the being doesn't know about this and then they expect certain things. And it's very settling when people do get to understand. The army, gate 7, simply says the direction is logical. Myself sees a logical thing. And 31 says, here's your chance to get it into the world because I'm giving you something that's influential. And if it speaks and it's not influential, then your timing's off. You have to start over or try something new, or wait. It's all the throat gates become about timing, no matter how manifesty they are. The timing is out, and you don't get the thing. And that becomes a choke point, a surrender point, not a choke point, a surrender point for the other to surrender into and say, oh yeah, I guess I don't get to do that thing yet. Sooner or later, it wants to be the alpha, but the alpha is always an elected place. Everything about the collective on this side of it, especially, is about you're acknowledged for the thing. It's a projected channel. You're nowhere is it more important than in a channel like this or the 1648. or the whole stream from the head down to the throat. It's wicked important to recognize the whole, the fact that they're projected channels. You want to expand on that a little, Moni?
The
I'm
importance
pointing
of
up.
projector recognition.
Yes, that they're being projected channels. That how important that is. You can't just gloss over that as a
Oh
footnote.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as some background context, any channel you look at in the body graph, there's like 3 manifested channels. There's the generated channels that are the ones that like come out of the sacral. And then most channels in the body graph are projected, right? If it was just that channel, they would be a projector, is how I kind of remember it. And so, yeah, with those, they need to be recognized. They need to be invited, right? A manifested channel, it has to wait for its clarity, whatever that is, but then it could just go and do and like push that out the throat and make it happen. A generated channel, it waits to respond. And if that sacral is like, yeah, let's go, then it can go and do that. With any projected channel, it needs to be recognized. Hey, you can do this, right? So the 731 is like, oh, you would be a good leader. You'd be a really good leader. You think he'd be a good leader? He'd be a great leader. Yeah, let's like vote for him. And now he's the leader, right? It can't just be someone who's like, I would be great and I'm your leader now. Too bad. It wouldn't work unless it was recognized from outside that you'd be the good leader, right? 731 is the channel of democratically elected leadership, right? And
Essentially,
so,
yeah. Yep.
yeah.
And that recognition becomes so important because the recognition translates to the keynote of timing. And again, some of these concepts are so childlike simple just at the base of it that you have to take that into account. So the second something isn't working, it's the timing. I mean, as a diagnostic tool, you go straight to timing so that you're not taking things in personally. That wasn't the right timing for that. Because when it is the right timing, boy, do you know, this channel knows and it's excited. And by the way, it brings forth the love of humanity projected, because that's what 15 is below, empowered by all the focus that went on a moment ago, empowered by the fixedness of the pattern by gate 5. And it takes all of that through the identity, which says I am myself. I love myself. Myself needs to move towards love and direction. It needs to move towards beauty and aesthetics and towards harmony and communion. That's the G center is moving us there. So it's part of this. It's magnetic monopole is here. So just to loop it all and bring it all back in, this gate 7, the army, it's the army to marshal up everything I just said into something cohesively recognizable so that it is I am influential or not. I influence this or not, gate 31 of influence, and I create the life force that sees it through. And people got behind it. And this is great. And that's why it looks like an alpha. It's not an alpha the way the animal kingdom measured it. Someone can come along and knock this guy off its block. You know what I mean? But
This
it
is
is
a
an alpha that,
recognized alpha. This is a recognized and like
yes,
elected
yes,
alpha.
yeah. It carries the qualities of alpha in that it leads and it becomes influential and it becomes a leadership, and for as long as the timing is right. Yeah.
Next up, we have the 5818, and this is the channel of judgment and the design of instability. So gate 58 is the joyous, or the gate of vitality, and it's a root center gate, which is that brown square all the way at the bottom. And then gate 18 is work on what has been spoiled, or the gate of correction, and it's a splenic gate, which is the brown triangle on the side. And the 5018 is about how logic needs to be able to prove it has the best answers. It's the underlying logical process. And it has an insatiable drive to challenge and correct and perfect any pattern, and it fuels the art of mastery.
The mastery indeed, and it's just hungry for it. Its joy is that its corrective process will bring mastery and that it will be able to share all that. In a nutshell, that's this channel, but it gets called the channel of judgment because it really has these two expressions. One expression is that I can't wait to get to this mastery, and it's a shared thing, and it fits what I like and don't like. Now that's where it's not personal towards the other. And the other one is where it can nitpick anything apart, just like gate 63, and be very judgmental and never not miss anything and feel very needly at another. It feels like a judgment because it's got so much power. Gate 18 is just simply correcting what has been spoiled. what's not good anymore, and sort of it's like you got a nice block of cheese, and gate 18 is right there with a scalpel to cut the little mold spots off. No big deal, folks. This is still good cheese, totally. That's 18, and it does so, and it shares that. So it never does it quietly. If that's the process of a 15.5, the rest of the world might not know it's cutting the mold off the cheese. But if you're a 58.18, that's a shared process. You will know. You know? And if you don't show me, I'm going to show you. So then you know. And hopefully it was a logical process and brings joy, because it just wants the joy of the experience of experimenting in life shared with the other. And it makes it do all kinds of things to get there. And so anyone with this channel's got a powerful life force. They should really do a lot of kayaking and just roll with it or something. Yeah, because there's a lot of energy here.
Just your examples sometimes are just like, oh, cool, that's where we're going, kayaking.
That's where we're going kayaking. Yep, get out there and burn up some of that energy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's interesting with the gate 18 being this gate of judgment, because it's a harsh term, right? It's a gate of judgment, right? It's like, it's one of those harsher ones that might be a little more difficult to swallow if somebody sees this in their chart, and just kind of to know it doesn't mean you're supposed to be like judgmental towards yourself, or to be a jerk towards yourself, or to be unkind to other people in that way. But how Danny said, it is this logical process based on the judgment of what is out of place in the way of like collective joy. Where it's like, hey, something is off here, we need to fix it, this is wrong, this is damaging, this is opposed to the vitality, even beyond joy, because joy can be a little like joy, it's a little right, but like vitality, I think, is an even stronger word to go with, where what's in the way of the vitality, what's in the way of the wellness of people in society. One of my friends has this, and she's a nurse, and she's brilliant, and she can dial in and find what is in the way of the vitality, what is in the way of the wellness and the health. And it can come off kind of intense, because it's right there, and it's really pointy, and it's going to find that thing that's off. But knowing it has its correct place. This isn't a place to nitpick yourself, into oblivion. This is a place where you can see what is off, and that's blocking. It's a pattern that's blocking vitality and wellness.
Yeah, that vitality, that wellness, that pressure. And remember what I said at the very beginning of this, the pressure centers live out the action of right now. So much of the body graph lives out right now. That's not simply the home of the sacral. It's everywhere. Right now is all over the place in a body graph, and it's no, so pressure right now. And so the vitality is what's not working right now is a thing. And so that's why it can seem so judgmental, because it snaps into place with the pressure that's pouring in on it right now. If I had a pressure, if I had someone's knee digging into my thigh, I'm going to get a Charlie horse right now. It's like, I got to get it off me. And this is, I've got to unload this. There's dirt under the rug. I got to unload this. I saw the dishes not get put away right. I've got to unload this. I mean, like literally, because it's so much things to their taste. And then this job is great. And I love the vitality of running into work every day. All of it is, I like this pattern. I don't like that pattern. All to taste. This is the stream of taste. And that's why taste is the name of it. And that's why I can be very judgmental. And these people just need to understand a couple of good, strong mottos. Love that energy. Find someone else that loves it too. And just because you think it doesn't mean you have to say it, because your voice carries. Were you going to say that too?
No, it's always good advice for myself included. I don't have this channel, but I'm like, oh God, I don't need to say all that.
Because I think this channel feels judgmental to the other. If you meet two partners and one of them has this channel and they don't know anything about human design, you can go to the other partner and bring up this thing that it feels so judgmental, doesn't it? And they're like, yeah, and then you'll find out it's always been a little needly point for that couple. Their whole 10 years of existence and 2 kids later, you know what I mean? The husband or the wife, one of them is saying the thing that feels they're being judgment being cast upon them.
And again,
it's hard, and it projected, so it gets a little bitter if it's not being heard. You know what I'm saying? You add it all up, and there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I was about to say the projected channel thing, and you beat me to it.
Oh, yeah. The roll, it starts rolling.
Yeah. But it's an interesting thing to know, right? Like, so that's the thing too, right? If you have this channel and you have a judgment, maybe wait till it's recognized and invited to provide it, because it'll go by a lot smoother, right? If you just like, I think this is wrong and this is off, then it's like, who's that person poking at me and being all judgmental? Whereas if you wait, I know another person who has this, and she does like product testing or something to see like what is wrong with the product
Oh
or the
yeah, let these
marketing and
people be
stuff
our
like that.
product testers. Yeah, hire them all, man. I want,
Yeah, but in
yeah.
that way of just like, yeah, she's recognized of like, hey, you notice these things that are off and you can make this better. So she's recognized and invited to provide that judgment for this vitality, for the greater pattern, for the greater good of all.
God, that's just a perfect example. I mean, that really is. It's just idyllic the way you said that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Another way to deal with this is this real, straight on kind of not a lot of depth in what I'm about to say. It's right on the manifesting generator now surface. It is explain to the other person that you learned you have this quality in you and it's not personal. And so when it comes out, we'll learn how to deal with it thereafter, just so we can stop letting this be a personal thing between us. Because apparently it's got to come out. You'll recognize that. And
Mm.
and I certainly don't want it to be hard on you. And so now I'm going to have to start recognizing that, and we'll see. Maybe we'll meet somewhere else in the middle. It'll be easier. That would be an awake way to deal with that. But you would have to trust the system to do that, obviously.
Yeah, and you'd have to be into human design enough to play with the experiment, which
To
is
say that with
so
like
much of
the
the
type.
fun. Yeah, but man, like it's so nice when you meet more and more people who know even like a little bit of human design. And like, oh yes.
It's such a
It's just
relief.
so much smoother.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
smoke them if
exactly.
you got them.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was our message. Wake up, people. We need you.
We invite you into the experiment if you care to play with us and see what beauty we find together.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Here we have the 4816. This is the channel of the wavelength or the design of talent. And so gate 48 is the well, and it's the gate of depth, and it's a splenic gate, which is the brown triangle on the side of the body graph. And then gate 16 is enthusiasm or the gate of skills, and it's a throat gate, and that's that brown square. Gate 48 is always looking out for vital information, and gate 16 is always considering new ways of experimenting and perfecting skills. And so the 4816 is using depth and skills in finding potential solutions to problems or encouraging, correcting, and refining something that needs perfecting.
Yeah, always considering a new way of experimenting, and it's always excited to want to have one, and it's always catching all that taste from that was empowered and energized below, put through the double strainer of 18 and 48, right? That's double strained. This is double strained super wine by the time it comes out 48, right? Aged and everything. And and 16 then becomes the voice of I know I can experiment or not. I do experiment or not. I want to experiment or not. And it's the want part. So as soon as it feels good and it likes it, basically 16 is there to guarantee that the other stuff isn't working on nothing in a way. Because if all the stuff below isn't something to get enthusiastic about, this would be a great point for anyone just coming into their knowledge about themselves to realize if you got this channel, there's a disconnect. It's your mind is telling you you think your depth is supposed to be this, that, and the other thing, but you can't get excited for it. It's just not happening. Well, I can't, I've got this career, I'm going to be this thing, and I'm going to start writing books, and I got all this depth, and your mind is telling you about all your depth, and you probably do. But the enthusiasm you normally have that you're counting on, you're waiting on, because if you have this channel, you know it's there. In fact, people can say to you, oh, just wait, you'll get enthusiastic, and then everything will be great. And that's true. For this being with this channel. So it becomes a great way and a detector in a sense. This enthusiasm, don't forget it. Well, please know this enthusiasm, gate 16, shares an opposition on the wheel with gate 9. So in a way, these both become a type of format for this whole piece of circuitry because they run together. Well, you can't have one without the other when you're going around the wheel, and that becomes an important thing to recognize. So 16 is enthusiasm is based on it's got something to focus on that sparks the joy, and this vitality to say, we got something here, folks, we got something. And 18 to say, yeah, what do you got? Maybe you got something. That might be something. I'll check that something. And 48 to receive the depth of 18's constant questioning of it all. And 16 is like, you guys settled down there. You got it settled good because I'm psyched we're doing this thing. And that's the story of this piece of circuitry. So that's a lot of gotta get psyched. That's a lot of sophisticated, please use recognition as a force here. Just like the projector has in their genome recognition, the rest of us got to get used to recognizing and take lessons from our projector friends on what it is to recognize stuff, really.
Yeah.
Because
God,
if you don't recognize it, you won't get enthusiastic about it, or you'll be sad that you missed it because you didn't one of these things. And but if you're 4 years old, by the way, it's always working right. And you get enthusiastic, and you should go back to little home videos of yourself when you were then, and you just copy that because that's what's true. So
that's fun. It's also
mm,
interesting. The 4816 is this design of talent. So one of the fun things is if you ever look up celebrity charts, or especially like, musicians and artists and that are like very, pop culture and known, how many of them have the 4816?
yeah,
Because they have that depth of skills and the talent to express it. And like, random example is Britney Spears has the 4816 and she's wildly talented, right?
yep,
And she expressed it in like world phenomenon. But her sister has the 48 but without the 16. So it's like she has this depth, right? But
right,
lacks the enthusiasm and the skills to experiment out the throat. So she was only ever famous like on the back of her sister's full channel of the 4816.
right, right. And you'll find it in musical acts and various acts where they make that channel together. Lennon and McCartney made that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, and it was pretty clear which one was all so deep, John Lennon, and which one was poppy and talented and could always turn a tune, and that was Paul McCartney. It was so obvious. McCartney was a 16 as a manifester, unemotional, and Lennon was the 48 emotional. I'm pretty sure he was emotional. Um, but yeah, so
That's great.
another important thing to, were you gonna say something?
No, I just thought this was great. I love when you can see it in, celebrities are just easy examples because you can find the chart and
Yes.
they have this like breadth of work that you can see, like John Lennon and Paul McCartney with this channel, or Britney Spears. It's just really fun when you can start seeing those things in the body.
The 48 and the 18, since it's a double sifting process, there is a lot of bitterness in here. And you have to, in the 48 especially, because it knows its road is home to Rome, to the throat. It knows, 18 doesn't know that per se. It knows it's probably along the way, but 48 is aware. I am supposed to manifest this. I'm supposed to get it out. This is supposed to get out. 18 is like, I'm just sharing this anyway, regardless. So when you put these two things together, 48 can almost be this thing that Ra would call 48 the gate of black magic because of all this incredible depth, but also a conditioned, not self-bitterness that can show up at. I can imagine Britney Spears' sister was pissed for no reason that she could articulate that would be fair.
Yeah.
That would be fair. I mean, for a reason she could articulate, she said, oh, it's not fair. It's not her fault.
Mm-hmm,
Not
mm-hmm.
hers or
She
Britney's
can't
fault.
keep up. Yeah.
So there were some little vicious things in there that don't fall prey to it. That's who you're not. If you have a 48 and you don't have a 16, that's what's going to happen. Same thing with an 18, but just to a lesser degree. And I would end on that.
Cool. We're hopping up to the head center with the 63-4. And this is the channel of logic and the design of mental ease mixed with doubt. So gate 63 is after completion, or the gate of doubt, and it's a head center gate, which is the yellow triangle at the very top of the chart. And then gate 4 is youthful folly, or the gate of formalization, and it's an ajna gate, which is the green triangle that's pointing downward. And so the 63-4 is about the doubting mind being absolutely essential to logic, because logic can be impeccable in its formalization and still be wrong. So you need the doubt because, somebody can come up with a logical explanation of something and be completely wrong. So you need that doubt. And so the 63-4 constantly filters patterns, seeing if they're consistent or not. And the moment a pattern is inconsistent, the pressure intensifies, finally becoming a question demanding an answer.
God, it's so powerful. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's like you and I, Moni, we're both in our 7th grade, moderate math class, and we're proving Pythagorean's theorem, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Most people know that there's that thing. If you got A and B, you can account for C. And then we're in the same class in high school and we're saying, do we still have to prove Pythagoras? Or do we still have to prove it works? Do we still have to prove that 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6? And times, becomes a cube of it. And right? Do we still have to prove this? And the answer is no, we don't really. But yes, we do. Because doubt will still come in. And this is the final verifier that the systems put in place down below worked. This is the creator of the concepts and the pressure to create the concepts that are going to be vocalized, that get vocalized, shared, and assuring everyone else this is the case. Don't worry, folks, the traffic lights will work this weekend. No more auto accidents at the intersection of such and such. That all the work got done all throughout the body graph, but the final formulation of the press release with all the details and what needs to be said pours out of here and relieves that pressure. That's why it's mental ease mixed with doubt. That doubt is not like a fanciful thing. It's a pressure. And it can be a profound pressure. It can be a confusing pressure, even though I'm mixing up keynotes with that. Because it's like, why am I still doubting this? What's the scoop with it? It's just trust yourself. It's there for a reason. And if it's there for no reason, allow that too. Just like everything else in this circuitry, just because you think it doesn't mean that it has to be true or that you're even right. So things get so personal specifically with the circuitry in this particular piece of the collective, the logic understanding side of the collective circuitry. Things get so dicey, they get so personal, because everyone's trying to get everyone else to see their point of view. And to have it be something that they agree with. Do you agree? Do you like it? That's my thing. Do you like it? Do you agree? And the best conversations we ever see on a good long podcast of Rogan or this or that, right? The long ones that suddenly you start watching and that's it. You watch the whole thing. You didn't even realize you watched the whole thing. Are those times when those people can actually talk and you see the tension of where they don't agree and it becomes okay. This is the great proving ground of getting out of the old way into the way that communes with the other. Yeah, no, we're going to disagree on that, and we're going to move on. But personally, this doubt moves to that formula. It's got to come up with it. It's got to share it. Everything about this is social, even though it would be very insecure with its own self if its doubt keeps continuing. It's still going to share that with the other. So always share your doubts and find the right partners that will allow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like to think of this one because the 63-4, it's like the beginning of the scientific process. So it's the doubt and it's asking why, right? It's like, well, I don't understand this. Well, this pattern is inconsistent. Why is it inconsistent? And then the 4 offers I don't know, maybe it's this. Here's a possibility. This is a possibility. This is maybe an answer to that doubt.
4 catches that why. I'm glad you added the keynote of why. Doubt why. Doubt why. And what? Doubt what? Doubt why. What and why, but why for sure, the biggest one. And 4 isn't really complete with itself until it does develop a certain amount of certainty about it, relative certainty to equal a preponderance, where it's like, well, more yes than no, or absolute certainty is like, no, I ran this up and down. This is the formula. This is the thing. And then that will express in what we go on to next, the opinions into the details, which seems backwards. It's supposed to be the details into the opinions, but that's not the way the energy flows.
The 1762. And so this is the channel of acceptance and the design of an organizational being. So gate 17 is following and the gate of opinions, and it's an ajna gate, which is the green triangle that's pointing down up top on the body graph. And gate 62 is the preponderance of the small, or the gate of details, and it's a throat center gate, which is the brown square. And so the 1762 is about how logic influences humanity's thinking processes, shaping the way humanity reaches understanding, and the acceptance of mentally organizing information based on already substantiated details. And it's this ongoing internal process.
So the whole idea of the following is to recognize to follow is to learn how to lead. which is what the alpha wants, which is what gate 16 wants, which is what the whole stream wants, which is what the reason to focus, which is the whole purpose of a rhythm. I'm keynoting all the channels in this whole piece of circuit, on this whole circuitry. And and the following becomes the recognition of there's no end to hierarchies. There's no end to hierarchies of thought. There's no end to problem solving hierarchies, and there certainly is no end to human hierarchy. Someone's always going to have another idea. The fear of this gate is challenge. I'm afraid of challenge. The fear of gate 4 right above it, which we just did the channel of before this, is fear of chaos. Chaos, too much stuff. The chaos is I can't answer the doubt. I don't know what and why. I
Or
don't
there's
even
too
know
many
where.
possibilities almost.
Yeah, there's too much. I don't know. So send it over to the other side. Those confusion guys, they love this stuff, man. Give it to them.
They can make
You
a
know,
story about it.
yeah, just give it to them. Just don't get it off my plate. The chaos, which of course it can't get it off its plate. So we're making jokes with that. Never give up what you are. You're perfect, whatever it is. And so these two things, they do a lot: chaos and challenge. It's a little too chaotic, and 17 is just, they're going to challenge my opinion. Is my opinion right? Have I gotten rid of my doubt? When you start hearing yourself talk like that because you have one or both of these channels or the gates that are in it, some of them, you can start to recognize that's who I'm not. I'm under pressure to think about things that don't matter. I'm under pressure trying to whatever when that's who I'm not. I'm afraid of this and I'm not supposed to be. I'm nervous about where I am and I'm not supposed to care about any of that. Not my pressure. It's not me. And I don't have to worry about that. I can simply let it flow through. Not like you'll be any good at that in a day if you're just hearing this information now, but you will soon. I did. If I can do it, anyone can, by the way. So it's got to be grounded in details. And that's what I was joking about before, going through this whole process of 63 all the way down to 62, because by the time you get to 17, it's like 17's got a very manifesting type of job. It's because it's on off. Is it your opinion or not? Mr. Edwards, is that your final opinion? Is that your final, 17 has the job of yes or no. It's funny, the details come after the opinion. In this, the flow goes one way. It doesn't go both ways. I mean, the energy is allowed to exist in a flux both ways and every way, but the flow of the pressure comes from above through the formalization, out the opinion, meets up with details. It's like shoot first, ask questions later. Tell me how it's not that. So this can be a very trying place. No wonder it's afraid of challenge. And it's afraid of that it won't have all the details until it's got this whole life force. And then it meets together and becomes this quantum greater than what it was. And of course, it can start to know in its true self. It can accept positions of following because soon it'll lead. And it can accept positions of leading because it's sharing everything with everyone else to help them follow so they can lead. And it helps this process keep going back and forth, loaded with details. You never see details people with this definition not have an opinion and loads of details and have a big fat mouth about the thing that's going to say a bunch of cool things about something or a bunch of annoying things. And just like the 18 and the 58, that's just like the whole stream down there.
Yeah.
Just because it's your opinion, if you sense the timing isn't right, it doesn't matter your details. Stop trying to get them out or experiment and try all you want and notice the resistance. And instead of getting mad about the thing you can't get out, start getting happy about, oh my God, I see the mechanics. That was resistance. I'm still pissed because I couldn't get it out, but apparently a couple months from now, I won't even be pissed about that. That's how it works. That's what happens in this crazy mixing zone between 63 and 62. And that 63 is even called after completion. That's insane because it's what happens before the completion. And 62, that the details come after the formalizing and the opinions take place and the mental process. It's such a symphony of correctness that it makes no sense, but then it ends up working perfectly. This is one of those places that makes no sense, but it works perfectly. After completion and the gate is 63 and all the details are locked up and they're only let out after you got your opinion. It's almost like a corroborating force, and 62's job is to take all the details and become a metamorphic process, because everything that's happening inside the mind is just a collection of individual sounds, And B, light. Light. This is the whole wavelength here is trying to get people to see the picture. This is, can you see the picture of land? I mean, painting a picture, same thing with the idea if they want you to see the picture, but this one is, can you concretely see the picture and do you agree? You know, and that's all where the details then show up and take a metamorphic process. That's why the details come after, because the whole thing that was the concept needs to undergo a metamorphosis from sound and light into articulated words and a flow and a meter and a tempo with a certain timbre that is going to be influential and influence the other as about to what it is they've got. And if you try to turn that into reverse, then you get a lot of not solved problems out of that, and a lot of bitterness, and a lot of running away, and a lot of wondering if you spoke too much. It's not for you. You don't need it. Do you got anything you want to add to that? Because I just rambled for a while.
Yeah, I just let you. Good stuff comes out when I just let you talk.
Thank you, Moni.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for seeing cool stuff on the show. Yeah, with this channel, I like to continue that analogy of how the 63.4 and then the 1762, it's the scientific process, right? So the last channel we just went over is the 63.4, and it's the doubt and the why. And then the 4 comes up with a possibility, and then now we move to the 1762. So 17 is the hypothesis. I don't know, maybe it's this. I hypothesize this thing, right? You have to come up with the hypothesis before you can test the hypothesis. So that 62 is that like the details to test the hypothesis. So that's
and to metamorphosize that hypothesis into words.
Yeah.
That can be spoken intelligently in a meter and a tempo directed at the right way to the right people.
Yeah. And then it's interesting too, because my boyfriend has the 17, but not the 62. And it's really interesting. First off, is as he switched over, because he also has the 4323. So he'd always say, like, I know. But it's like the 17 was providing like hypotheses, but it was coming through this voice of I know, and it like felt off. And so he started playing with, oh, I hypothesized. Oh, I have this opinion. And he started presenting these 17s, type of energy as opinions and as just like, I don't know, it's a hypothesis, maybe, I don't know. And the energy felt so much cleaner and more attractive, and it just felt more correct. So that's like the first thing I noticed. So if you have the 17, play with like that kind of language instead of being like, I know, or I bet you, because it just kind of, it's not the voice.
It's challenge. It wants to challenge.
Oh, it totally does. But like, you come off way smarter and way more attractive. Like it was like way more like, you look good when he's using it. Really, I swear to God, like hand to God, when that 17 comes out as I hypothesis, I don't know, it's just an opinion. And it just lends itself to like, oh, I want to hear more about your opinion, or like, oh, there's a humility to it. There's just a maturity to it. And the other thing is, if you have the 17, but not the 62, don't worry about chasing the details. Because that's another thing I would start noticing with him is he'd present this hypothesis or this possibility, right? And then
he'd go get frustrated about the details he couldn't necessarily metamorphosize.
Yeah, and then he would keep digging for them. And he was like, he would be chasing these details. I'm like, I don't want the details. Like I had zero interest in it. Like I already had shut off my interest of just give me the hypothesis. I don't need all these details. I already get it. I get what you're hypothesizing. You don't need to chase the details. So that's what he's been playing with recently. So that's been interesting, is that energy as we're experimenting and seeing how that feels and him adjusting to it.
Good generator. I approve.
He's the best.
It's so good. No, he'll notice that I know and I hypothesize. When it is I know, he doesn't have to worry, because the generator in him will take care of that.
And just in general, he's just like really taken on this, like I hypothesize, maybe it's a possibility, and he just feels so much more mature and attractive, and it just comes off better. So like that's the other thing with human design. It's like you learn these little tiny little keynotes and these little analogies and these stories to understand these energies, and it really just gives you these little baby experiments, these really like tiny little see what happens, play around with it, have some fun kind of experiments.
I've got one that actually I just realized that I'm in, and I'm in it all the time. The experiment of, if you look at my body graph, it looks, the 43 is this place that is the only split in my body graph because I have no gate 23. So much gets focused on the 43. It's defined twice. It's got a third line which says, I don't care what the retribution is or what the stakes are or how much condemnation I'm getting. I have to be, I know. And, but the other three gates in my head center, so 3 to 1, they're collective. So they're not bad at all. And so I've gotten used to saying my opinion, and it lets me off the hook.
That's
The
it.
thing is, yeah, and I've
It
been
lets
saying,
you
well,
off
in
the
my
hook.
opinion, that's in my opinion. In my opinion, it's this. And the thing is, the energy underneath, I already know is still I know, or I think I know, or what I thought I know, I said it as my opinion. I get that. It doesn't change the process. It's just, it is my opinion because I've got confusion with that abstract channel going on. I've got gate 63 defined twice, first and second line. It's my only first line in my body graph is 63-1. So if there's one thing I know I'm going to focus in on for foundation building is assuaging doubt in one way, shape, or form, dealing with it as a foundational matter because I've only got one first line, and to get rid of that pressure of proving it or anything like that was to start to say, in my opinion, and I liked it too. I was like, dang, I sound smart, in my opinion. Let's see if they take my opinion.
That's smart. Yeah, it lets you off the hook. And also it's like, as an undefined, head ajna person, it feels like there's less pressure on me in a way. Because it's like I'm around like a defined ajna and I'm just like, why I have to prove my point? And no, I know this thing. And it's like, no, I don't. Why? Like, I don't care. I don't actually care. Why am I doing this? And so even hearing like, oh, it's just my opinion, I almost feel like it would let me off the hook to kind of drop some of that pressure that I feel to try to prove myself in my undefined ajna that doesn't know anything for certain. Like, who knows? So that's fun.
No one knows anything for certain is the funny part. It's just the ones that are supposed to have certainty for some type of energy and the stuff they say, got to recognize that. That's all. They don't know for sure unless they truly do, which is rare. I mean, it's not the norm. Most of the time, we're hypothesizing and opinionating and coming up with ideas and fanciful things like you're saying. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. The outer gates say I believe and I hypothesize, and they should do most of the talking for gate 43, in my opinion. In our society, the way we currently are, it would be so much easier.
Yeah, it's just softer. I hypothesize. I don't know. I got an idea. I don't care. Throw it out if you don't like it. Like
Hmm.
it softens everything and it doesn't make it so competitive in a way.
Right, right.
Good stuff.
Indeed.
All
Yep.
right. So, final thoughts tying it all together for our audience, this splenic side of collective circuitry, this understanding circuit. What do you got?
It's pay very attention that this thing is trying to look outward. It is very much tied into that third tone, third tone of outer vision. And you don't have to know what that means. Just take in the keynote that it is looking far into the future. It is looking out. It's the difference between the four-legged creature and the man when they could finally stand up and they could see above the grass as a bipedal creature. We're that. So just understand you're looking out into the world. You're looking out as to what's next. Have that be okay. And don't let it come with an expectation that you're always going to have the right timing where everyone else is going to follow along like a Pied Piper with what you think. What is your opinion? What is your folly? What is the stuff you came up with? What is your doubt? All of it. What are you focused on right now? What are you trying to drive at? What's your opinion about this? Or what's the depth of this thing you're getting? What's got you so enthusiastic? All of those things are looking into the future, and you should let them. And don't lament when the future doesn't come racing at you the way you wanted it to be. Just live out the fact that the two pressures pressuring it all pressure you right now. Let that be your clue. It's still a right now world. It's still right now business. That's where your consciousness is. Let it stay there and not obsess, or for God's sakes, not get bitter about what isn't right now.
Oh, that's good. That's good advice. Like
Yeah.
reminding all the projected channels, right? Like whether you're a projector, especially if you're a projector, but anyone with projected channels, it's hard sometimes to not get bitter with it because that energy is there and it has something to like give into the world. And you're like, I just want to be seen because I want to give something into the world. And it's just since it doesn't have that connection out to the throat, like it needs to be seen and recognized from outside. And like that can be hard. Like that can be really
My
hard.
My
You
one
never do.
abstract channel that makes that is confusing for me is still bitter at my own children, for having we've had some internal family things and there's
Yeah.
still a thing there and it still comes back and it's still there and I want it to not be. And so
Uh-huh.
I just have to wait. But luckily I know enough. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to say anything. Doesn't mean any that, it's not certain. You don't know, dude. You
Hmm.
just got an idea and opinion. What the hell's that mean? What do you really know that you don't? So you end up having to wait, and we find out we really don't want this stuff to matter anyway. So I mean, we don't. No one wants this stuff. No one wants much to matter if you think about it.
Yeah, no one wants the stupid argument. No one wants the little like irky dee, 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 but it's like it's there, and that's like it's just part of life of dealing with that in some way and trying to not make things worse.
Mm.
But yeah, waiting it out, waiting for that invitation, waiting for the recognition to share any of those projected energies.
Over and over again, that's what it is. It's coming to learn to wait for the timing that projects itself outright. Otherwise, I mean, it's not that it's a projected channel, it's got to wait for timing and it's kind of hindered. It's that it has the right timing when it waits. And so all that power is waiting to come out as this incredible potential until the
Mm.
artist, the human holding it, forgets to maintain his artistry of being themselves. The artistry of being yourself. Be yourself and the timing works. Yep.
Here, here.
Here, here.
Well, thank you for exploring this with me. Very
Mm.
exciting 50th episode. Yay, congratulations.
Wow,
Um,
that does feel like that's a big thing. I really appreciate that.
yeah, I love it. It's the 50th episode. And then, yeah, the 500 subscribers we just hit this week. And that was really, really exciting. I'm like, oh, I love that those lined up. I love that those lined up so much because it makes me so happy because, it's just fun.
Well, on that note, make sure everyone you like and subscribe and share this with people. People need to see this. They need to see it. They need to see it. Anyone who's into this. So help it get international. Other places are doing it and we should be doing it too. We're about as good as it gets. So